What's going on, guys? My name is BJ, and this is Praska Boys Garage. Now, today's episode, we are going to start part 2 of this build series on the ATV Chinese TaoTao ATA 110. That's a mouthful. But we left off getting ready for powder coat. We are getting the frame ready and starting to break down all the stuff. Now, good news is we did have some parts come in, like this rear rack. You can see this rack will just mount right back up to the back, just like so. With those mounting points are, what the? Son of a... All right, well, it's almost laughable. I don't even know what to do anymore because it's just one thing after another. I just want to get the frame checked off and get it ready for powder coat. And so I order a plug and play piece, and it's not necessarily plug and play. So here we are in the predicament. Now, some of you guys may order this rack for your ATV. And if this was the same case, you could easily return it and ask for another one that actually fits like it's supposed to. But I just don't have the time or the patience really for that. So ultimately, these two bars that come out that are not straight, I'll show you a better angle. I'm going to cut them and I'm going to bend them forward and then re-weld them. Now, since everything's getting powder coated, I'm not super worried about it. It'll look just fine and actually mount up to the mounting points that it's supposed to, but it's just kind of annoying that I've got to do that. But hey, I just want it done, so here we go. Now, a couple things I'm going to talk about on the frame. You can see it's got the mounting tab on this side, but it's missing it on this side. So I'm ultimately going to be grinding this down, fitting a piece up. That way that piece is back to normal, and that rack can fit all the way around. Also, I'm going to be taking this tab off. It's for the tether with the new wiring harness. I don't use the tether. I'm not a fan of it, so I'll ultimately be cutting that piece off. And you can see this little piece right here. If I can push on it, it's already broken. It's not a support piece. It was used to mount the wireless transmitter, which also I'm not going to have on this ATV. So for that being said, that's going to get cut out as well. So quite a bit of work left to do before we can check this off. So let's get started. Thought twice. Thought twice. I think I'm gonna leave this tab. I don't know. I don't think it's hurting anything, so I'm gonna leave it. Alright, so I don't know if you guys noticed on film or not, but I went ahead and just made cuts on the front of these things and then hammered them forward, and then I'll ultimately end up re-welding back on this side to clean it all up. That way I didn't have to cut them off completely, and I can still kind of mock it up. Now the issue I'm running into is this tab is actually bent in a little bit, so I need to take some pliers. I need to bend this straight, and then I can get everything kind of mocked up before we put this final bracket in. Alright guys, well I'm at the point where I'm going to start welding again. I've got everything cleaned up and ready to go. With the back, I did take the rack, I got it set up and secured to these two mounting points. That way I can get it nice and level before ultimately finding the center of where our new bracket needs to go. So what I've got left to do is I need to make this bracket. I need to get it welded on. Once that's welded on and secure, I'm going to take our rack, I'm going to mount it back up, get it all level, and then ultimately re-welding right where these cut marks were. That way I can take this frame off the table, be ready for powder coat, and move on to breaking down some other stuff. All right, guys, well, I just wanted to show you real quick with the plastics back on, the mock-up with this rear rack. It's looking absolutely fantastic. As you can see, super level, right where you want it to be. Now, we aren't out of the woods just quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and grab my grinding wheel. I'm going to clean up these cut marks a little bit, pull the welder back over here, and finish welding this thing up. All right, guys, well, I can tell you with confidence we are done welding with this project. I even went ahead and put the welder away because I am just, I'm over it. I don't claim to be the best welder in the world, but hey, I don't think I did too bad. And as far as powder coating is concerned, it's very forgiving and will probably cover up the majority of what I just did. Now that that's done, I'm turning my attention over to the rest of the components. We want to get these broken down, starting with the wheels and tires. When it comes to the tire condition, it's not actually that bad. I think they're in pretty decent shape. I will end up keeping them and using them for maybe a future budget build project. But because this is a restoration, I went ahead and elected to get brand new rubber. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my tire changer and start breaking these things down. That was fun. All right, guys. Well, it is the next day here in the shop because those rims and tires, well, they just absolutely kicked my butt. I was exhausted, so I went to bed. It is the next day, and I've got the rest of the stuff we're going to powder coat that needs to be disassembled on the table. We're going to go ahead and get the hubs ripped apart because the hubs will be powder coated, springs, the exhaust, and last but not least, the rear end. We've got to completely disassemble this, including those bearings, only because they've got grease in them. If we put it in the oven with powder on it, that grease will come out and it'll ruin the powder. So last but not least, let's get the rest of this taken apart. All right, you guys, that is it. We are done with disassembly. Everything is 100% torn apart. All the nuts, bolts, bearings, completely ready to go for powder coating. Now, like always, I want to say thank you so much for watching part 2 of this build. Now, do me a favor, go ahead and like this video, comment down below. Let me know if you can guess what colors we're going to be doing with this frame. I'm going to tell you, think college football and where I live. All right, guys, make sure to subscribe. You can hit the button right here, and that way I can ensure I will see you on the next one.